Hello, everybody. So I'm here with Simone. Simone and I met on an event. He was one of the speakers, and he was holding a valuable perspective on how to monetize communities. And we just had a chat about how he started from holding free events to asking people what they need to creating higher tiers. And in the reason actually why we're recording this is because in our interaction in person. Simone really shocked me when he spoke about that there's no levels. So, Simone, how would you could you please introduce yourself a little bit about your background and like where you're coming from and yeah,
Yeah,
what do you do?
yeah, absolutely. So the what I do is specializing in creating high converting webinars that connect and convert, and in particular community building. So bringing people together and having communities as the living force of every business, whether it's on a client level, whether it's also on a prospect level, and new potential clients that can join. And that's what I was talking about there at the event in Madeira. I've been running my business for 14 years now, GTeX, then expanded and invested in other four different businesses. And the one thing that they have in common is that we all use webinars for client acquisition and also big, strong focus on community building. And in this process, I made a few millions as well for the different businesses that we run. And so that's a bit of the background that
Awesome.
about
And
me.
what does GTeX stand for?
GTeX stands for growing together exponentially. So talking about community and talking about bringing people together. We started 14 years ago running events just with the goal of connecting people, bringing them together. And I believe that when people come together, they can achieve way more than they're capable of, way more than they can do on their own. And that's where the exponential curves comes in because you get people together, they
Yeah.
they connect, they have this conversation, and nothing seems to happen until you have that exponential growth, that like inflection point where now everything starts falling into place because of the connection and the skills that you got. So that's why we call GTEX in this way, growing
That is
together exponentially.
amazing. Part of me wants to has a curiosity of how that. Okay, you just explained actually how that the name came around, but and you were running weekly events for 7 years, right?
Yeah, for about 7, 8 years, we kept running weekly events. And we started with like two, three people in the room, and then going into like 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 people. And
High five.
yeah, we kept running volumes of this, and it took years to get everything off the ground. But we were doing things that we were learning. We were just very young when we started. I was 23, my business partner was 23. So we had to figure everything out. We had to figure out business. We had to figure out sales. We had to figure out marketing. We have to figure out community building, running events. Like we're learning all these skills on the fly. And it was one of the best things that we did because just because of the sheer volume of events, we became good very quick because we were able to practice a lot in a short period. Like in a short period of time, we condensed so many experiences that's where our growth came from.
Yeah, I see. I see. Okay, and I can completely see how the name of the company came from that. Which brings us to the topic of why are we why I engage like the key reason why I was like, okay, I need to hear more because in our conversation you mentioned something that goes completely against my views of life, which is like that there's no levels. And how can you say such an absurd thing when this person is making this much money and I'm not making this much money and they have this much experience and I don't have this much experience and I'm constantly like thinking in terms of levels and then you come with your background and you tell me something so absurd that there's no levels. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, that was a shift in mindset that I made maybe like 5, 6 years ago. And it was thanks to a conversation that I had with someone else. I don't remember who the person is, but I remember what they said, and they just changed completely my entire outlook on this. Because what I was doing is to keep putting people on a pedestal. So when I see someone above me or someone that I put them on a pedestal, or I say I look up to them, what happens inherently, like inside, basically there is a sense that we are not the same. You are better than me. And yeah, you can be better than me because maybe you had more experiences or certain skills, but that doesn't help me approach you. That doesn't help me learn from you because also everyone is a human, right? Everyone has the good side and their dark side. And often when we put people on a pedestal, we only see their good side. We don't see their dark side. We don't see the things where they're lacking in. We don't see some of the things where they're not good at. But we tend to only idolize the things that made them who they are, the things that they're great at. Not as it doesn't help me connect to human, right? But if I change perspective and we see people instead of being someone to look up to, someone that is just further along the line, and instead of going vertical, we go horizontal.
Hmm.
And we say, you just had a series of experiences that I didn't have. You had a series of skills that I don't have yet. That's why you're further on the line. Maybe you have done this for a number of years. When you've done something for 20 years, of course you're farther along the line, unless you're doing something really bad, right? So that shift in perspective made us say, okay, we are human. We are the same. You had a set of experience that I didn't have, and I have a set of experience that you didn't have. That's why we are where we are. So if I
Mm.
want to achieve some of your results, let me see what kind of experiences did you have? What kind of skills did you learn? What kind of volume of activities did you do? How many years have you been in there? And then pick what resonates with me and then find my own path within that.
Hmm.
So it's not about becoming you, but it's about taking your journey and what you have done and then making it mine and say, okay, what is true to me right now and what can I take
Hmm.
and how can I get further than I am, right? And so
Hmm.
that was a big concept that it helped me connect with millionaires, billionaires, as well as people that are unemployed. It's like we're on the same line and
Mm.
we just had different experiences. So
Yeah.
let's have this conversation at this level.
That's a really valuable perspective, 100%. And when it comes to putting people on the pedestal, why is it so that we have this instinct to put people up? Uh, like it's so I think it's very common that we put people up on a
Yeah,
pedestal and we see idolize them and we see only their good sides. And what do you think that is? Is that like some kind of evolutionary
it is.
quirk?
It is. It's
Uh,
human nature. It's human
Human
nature.
nature.
It's human
Yeah.
nature, right? So human nature, one of the drivers for in human nature is status. And when we see someone with a status that we perceive to be higher than our status, then like in our brain, they become the leader of the pack. Can have
Mm.
many leaders of the pack. So if you think about how we were living in tribes, there was always a leader, there was always the alpha. That's also in the
Mhm.
animal world how it works. There is the alpha of the group, right? The alpha male of the group. And when we do that, whether it's a man or a woman, what we are basically replaying is this evolutionary process, the fact that we need to have, if we are not the alpha, we need to see someone else as alpha.
Mhm.
And it is good because as humans, we need someone else that can inspire us. But the problem is now that we know this, that this is how we work. Now we can be very conscious about this. It's like, okay, I'm putting this person on a pedestal because in my mind, my little brain now is thinking they are the alpha. Okay, that's good. But I have no other clue. Like, I don't really know them. They can be the alpha or not. They can just have a good persona when they show up. Or maybe I see a YouTube clip and now they show me these great things that they've accomplished. But there might be a lot of things that they're not saying. So having this mindset and having this awareness actually then helps now see human to human and break the patterns of verticality and create more
Oh, that's
horizontality.
so good. That's so good. That's really much appreciated. I think it's a very valuable perspective that you just shared. Um, yeah. Anything else would like to share before we wrap this video up?
I think that for anyone that right now like is in that situation when you're thinking or you're putting people on a pedestal, or you are not approaching maybe other people that you would like to approach because of this dynamic, because you think that you are not there yet. Just try to do your best to manage that thought, because
Mm.
at the end of the day, we are all humans. And if you're able to add value to another human being, then now that's what really counts. That's what really builds a relationship.
Yeah, I see.
So,
I see.
and anyone, or depending on where they are, they can add value based on what they have, right? So I'll give you
Hmm.
an example. One of the one of the turning point in my speaking business was hosting an event with 1,000 people with a huge speaker from the US called Les Brown in London. Les Brown is a big motivational speaker, is one of the pillars of the speaking industry, and they were organizing this event in London. They were about 1,000 people. I reached out to the organizer. Like I would have nowhere near enough in my business to stand there on that stage compared to the other speaker, if we are looking at that.
Hmm.
But I had a skill. At that point, I've organized an event a week for over 3 years. So I contacted the organizer and I said, hey, do you need any help? If there is something that event organizer needs is help. Running an event is not easy. Like there are so many moving parts, in particular running an event at scale. So I said, hey, do you need any help? I love Les Brown. I love to help you out and support. She said, yes, please. We had a chat with the organizer and basically ended up structuring our entire event. I called all my clients and our community members. They became the crew of the event. So we brought the stuff. And then and then I developed over the 3 years great hosting skills. And I let the organizer know, it's like, hey, I can host. If you need any help, just let me know. It was about 3 days before the event. She gave me a call and said, hey, I'm overwhelmed. I got too much going on right now. Can you please be the main host of the event? And that put me in front of 1,000 people in the personal development industry, which is my industry, which is where I was running events. And that year we went from 20,000 to 120,000 pound in business that year. Boom. Now the skills were already there. That opportunity amplified and show people all the preparation that I've done to that point, and I was ready
Yeah.
to do a great job. And then the year after, we did in the same format. We did an event with Gary Vee in a boxing ring. Same thing. Hey, do you need any help? And I'm being part of that event. And so now I did an event with Gary Vee. So the reason why I'm sharing this story is because sometimes you create incredible opportunities for yourself just by looking at what are the skills that I have right now. How can I offer them of service to the people that I would love to connect with, and then be detached from the outcome, because nothing might happen
Hmm.
from there.
Yeah.
Something magical might happen. You just don't know. You put yourself in the right position, put yourself in the right place. That's the most that you can do.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for that. Such a valuable, gigantic nugget of wisdom. That is very, very valuable to hear. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom. And I guess we keep in touch.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let me stop the recording now.
All right.